Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Rakesh Gupta. I'm co-host of Automation Hour and blogger at automationchampion.com. I post content around Power Apex, Lightning Web Component, CRM Analytics, Salesforce Release, and Salesforce Flows. If you want to learn these topics, please subscribe to my YouTube channel as well as newsletter. In today's video, we will learn how you can automatically update latest exchange rate for active currency in Salesforce. If you have ever enabled multi-currency in Salesforce, once you enable the multi-currencies, there is no out-of-the-box way to automatically update latest conversion rate for active currency in Salesforce unless you are using an app exchange applications or build an integration. So let's start with business requirement, and you can find all this instruction, step-by-step instruction in block number 181 Salesforce Flows. The requirement is very simple. Benjamin is working as an architect. He just implemented Sales Cloud, and as a part of it, he enabled the multi-currency. Now, Benjamin is looking for an automated way to automatically update latest exchange rate for active currencies every night at 12:53. The company has acquired license for currency API. Now, first thing is, if you never work on multi-currency, I will strongly recommend you to go to the trailhead and learn about multi-currency and how you can enable the multi-currency in your org. Once you enable it, you have to go to the company, and there is a checkbox to enable it. This org is very old, but in new org you have an option to enable it. Now, once you enable it, you will be able to see an option called Manage Currencies, and from here you can able to see the dated exchange rate, where you can able to manually update this exchange rate, but we want to avoid manual operations and make it automated from an API, currency API site, which provide the latest exchange rate. For this demo purposes, we are going to use currency API. There are other vendors as well in the market like Kickstart.io and others. The advantage of using currency API is the base exchange rate for currency API in free tier is USD. And it also offers 300 API requests every month. So if you want to do 2 calls per day or 4 calls per day every 6 hours, I think you are good. You don't need additional license unless you want to use a different currency as a base. Next, you have to understand request and response. So this is the request URL, which is basically base currency. By default, it is USD, and you can able to change it. As far as I understand, you need a paid license. And then API key, once you set up your account, going to api.currencyapi.com and click on the sign up link, follow the instruction, and you will land here. And from here, you will copy your API key. And once you enter this into your browser, you will get a JSON response like this. This will provide you the data, the currency code, and currency values. And that's all you need to get started. So first, make sure that multi-currency is enabled in your org. You have activated couple of currencies. Like in my case, I have enabled a few currencies and active currencies. And then next step is go to the name credential. Let's create a name credential for this callout, currency API callout. And we will use this part of the URL for the name credential. We want to run these automations to run every night at 12:53 a.m. For this, we have to use the schedule trigger flows, because schedule trigger flow has an ability to run at a specified time. If you want to run multiple times in a day, then you can use Schedule-O-Matic 9000 App Exchange applications. You can find the instruction on my previous blog number 180, about how you can run a Salesforce flows every 5 minutes. Now, to get started, select the schedule trigger flow and set the start date and start time, and make sure that you set the frequency daily. You don't have to select any object because we want to just run this job. Now, you might wondering why there is a pause element here. By default, Salesforce does not allow to make an external call out from schedule trigger flows. Run this entire automation without pause, you will get an error message. So that's where the pause was introduced here in this flow. So add a pause element, and we want to always pause so that we want to resume immediately. So select the specified time. Base time is basically current date time. We want to wait 0 hours. And that's everything you need. So this will run very fast in production. You may see some lagging in your sandbox or free developer instance. Next, call out. So for this, click on action and select create HTTPS callout. So give the name and select the name credential. Click on the next. Give the name as well here. This is the get. And then we already entered this part of the URL in name credentials. So remaining is this. So put this here. And there are two parameters. One is base currency and API key. So add two parameters here. Base currency, which is basically string required, and key is basically API key. It is required as in a string. Then we need JSON sample JSON response for Salesforce to generate invocable Apex class behind the scenes. So copy this and paste it here. You can find this JSON response by hitting the currency API URL or copy from the blog post 180 and click on the done. Now do the call out. Here your API key, I have created a constant to store my API key, and then base currency is USD. Next, we want to make sure that we receive the success response. So for this, select output and select the response code. If it's 200 means it is successful. If it's failed, I'm not taking any actions, but if you want, you can create a task or perform certain, you can implement a retry mechanism as well. The next step is to get active currencies. To get an active currency, you can use currency type standard object and say is active equals to true and is corporate equals to false. It means I don't want to get the corporate currency because there is no exchange for corporate currency, because corporate currency is always set as 1, and select all record. Next, I want to make sure that get records returns certain records. So for that, next I want to make sure that get record elements return records. For this, we will use the decision element. In the decision element, select the get element. Outcome is null false. It means this get record element active. There are some active currencies in our org. It means there is some active currency in our org. Next, we will use the loop. The purpose of using loop is might be possible there is a one currency or multi currencies and multiple active currencies, and we have selected all records. So Salesforce will return the record collections variable, which is a list. You can imagine it is a multiple rows in Excel sheet. For this, we have to use loops to retrieve one record at a time and do the mapping for it. So now our purpose is to insert data into the DatedConversionRate object. We have to create two variables. First, a record variables DatedConversionRate, where we will store the mapping for individual active currency, and later we will add this record variable into a record collections variable of type DatedConversionRate, so that we will perform a bulk operations at the end. So let's start from here. First is start date of the dated exchange rate, so it is currency. Then current ISO code, basically getting from the loop ISO code. Then exchange rate, there is a formula. Now, if you notice here, I have three formulas here. The purpose of using three formulas is I am avoiding character limit of formula, which is 3,900 characters. So imagine if I copy paste here, you will see that I'm getting 3,900 character limit. So what I did is I put an if else statement here. Basically, if this currency ISO code is this from the loop, then get the value from the JSON response. And at the end, if it's reached here, which is around 380 some character, 3,800 character, I'm looping formula 2, and formula 2 does the same thing. So I divided this all currencies into the different formulas so that I don't have to create an Apex class. Otherwise, but another way of do the same thing is using an Apex method, which will create a map, and you can pass the currency ISO code and it will return the latest values. And that is basically here in the formula. So I want to avoid the Apex class. That's why I created 3 formula to overcome with the 3,900 character limit in Salesforce Flow formula. Then add this as object record, which is a record variable, into record collection. And at the end, I'm performing an insert record to insert all this record. Now, there might be another scenario where you want to update the record after 12 hours. So for example, you say, okay, I want to run currency update twice a day, one at 1 a.m. and another at 1 p.m. So for 1 a.m. this will work, but for 1 p.m. as soon as you try to run the same flow, then you will get an error message because there is already dated exchange rate exists for that day. So you have to update that, not insert it. Another thing is Salesforce schedule trigger flows only fire once in a day. So if you want to fire another time, then you have to use or multiple times in a day, or saying you want to fire every hour or every 4 hours, then you have to either use an Apex code or you can use Schedule-O-Matic 9000 from AppExchange. To summarize this, what we have learned is we learned how you can make a callout from Salesforce to currency API to get the latest currency conversion rate and apply to Salesforce active currency. We learned that how you can make external callout from Salesforce schedule trigger flow by putting a pause. And we also learned how you can overcome with Salesforce Flow formula limit of 3,900 characters. And we also learned how you can get the active currencies by using currency type and each active. I am filtering out each corporate. As you can use the record variable to assign the values, then add into a list, and then you perform a DML operation in a single transaction. So once everything is done, make sure that you save this and activate it. And once it is active, go to the schedule job and you will see that it will run tomorrow morning at 12:53. And once it runs, if it's work, if everything is configured correctly, then if you go to the manage exchange rate, you will see that the rate for today will get updated. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.